Before we begin our journey, close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. Imagine a land where courage grows like trees. Imagine a continent where warriors stood tall even when the world tried to push them down. Imagine stories that were almost erased, whispers of greatness hidden inside the winds of time. Africa is a place of kingdoms, scholars, builders, inventors, and freedom fighters. But how many of their stories were told? How many were celebrated? How many names were carried proudly across oceans, across classrooms, across history books? What if I told you that some of the greatest heroes who ever lived came from African soil? What if I told you that their bravery shaped nations and inspired future generations? What if I told you that one woman, one guardian, one fearless leader stood against an empire and won? This is not fantasy. This is not myth. This is the truth of Queen Nanny of the Maroons. Before we begin, take a breath. Prepare your heart, because you are about to enter a world of mountains that whisper secrets, forests that choose their own champions, and a woman whose courage still echoes across centuries. And now, let us begin our story. Once upon a time, deep in the forests of Jamaica, the mountains were alive. Every leaf carried a message. Every river hid a memory. Every breeze held a warning. The Blue Mountains were not silent. They watched, they listened, they waited. They waited for a leader. But where would such a leader come from? From the valleys? From the plantations? From the villages? No. She came from across the ocean. A girl named Nanny was born in the Ashanti Kingdom of West Africa. Her people taught her discipline, leadership, and the sacred importance of protecting a community. She learned how to read the land, how to understand silence, and how to make decisions with wisdom. But darkness came. Strangers invaded her homeland, raids swept across villages. People were taken away in chains. Nanny was one of them. During the terrible journey across the Atlantic Ocean, she watched suffering around her, yet she refused to let fear control her heart. She whispered encouragement to those beside her. She reminded them of home. She reminded them of strength. When the ship reached Jamaica, she saw cruelty everywhere. But instead of despair, she felt a fire rising inside her spirit. Was this the world she would accept, or would she fight for something greater? One night, she made her choice. She escaped into the mountains. The climb was brutal. Branches scratched her arms, rocks bruised her feet, dogs barked in the distance. Yet she kept moving. Have you ever felt a moment when your body wanted to quit, but your spirit refused? This was her moment. At last, she reached the Maroons, escaped Africans who lived freely in hidden camps. They studied her silently when she arrived. They wondered, could this woman become a leader? Could she help them survive? Could she help them win? Nanny simply bowed her head and said, "I have come to protect my people." From that day on, the mountains accepted her. She trained warriors. She built lookout towers. She studied the movement of the British forces. She designed strategies that confused entire armies. And now, something happened that changed everything. The British discovered that the Maroons were growing stronger. They planned a massive attack. Soldiers marched through the forest. Their muskets glowed in the sunlight. Their boots crushed leaves like thunder. Would Nanny surrender? Would the Maroons run? Would the mountains fall silent forever? No. At sunrise, Nanny gathered her warriors. Her eyes burned with determination. "The British think they understand this land," she said, "but the land speaks to us, not to them. Today we stand together. She prepared an ambush so advanced that even experienced commanders could not predict it. Warriors hid inside trees. Others lay silently in grass. Some waited behind waterfalls. The forest itself became a shield. The British entered the valley laughing confidently. They believed the Maroons were weak. They believed they controlled the mountains. But then the forest changed. The air thickened. The wind stopped. Even birds refused to sing. Why was it so quiet? Why did the valley feel alive? Why did the soldiers hesitate? Because Nanny had arrived. From the top of the cliff she raised her staff. Her clothing moved with the wind. Her presence felt like lightning before a storm. A single whistle echoed across the valley. The ambush exploded. Warriors appeared everywhere. Arrows flew. Voices called from unexpected places. British soldiers tripped over hidden traps. Confusion spread among them like wildfire. How could a group without modern weapons overpower trained soldiers? How could they move so quickly? How could they strike with such accuracy? The answer was simple: Nanny. She understood the land. She understood her people. She understood strategy. Battle after battle, the Maroons pushed the British back. The soldiers grew frustrated. They searched for her camp, but the mountains never revealed it. They sent scouts who vanished inside the forest. They offered rewards for her capture, but no one betrayed her. Why did no one betray her? Because Nanny protected everyone, because she never abused her power. Because leadership is not control. Leadership is service. Years passed, and the British grew tired. They could not defeat her. They could not break her warriors. They could not force the mountains to surrender. After many long years, the British made a decision that surprised everyone. They asked for peace. The Maroons signed a treaty in 1739. It recognized their freedom and their right to live independently. Nanny had changed the entire history of Jamaica, but her story did not end there. She built farms. She trained new generations. She encouraged unity. She preserved African traditions. Children gathered around her to listen to her voice. Young warriors followed her leadership. Families trusted her judgment. She created Nanny Town, a community built on courage and resilience. Her legacy became so powerful that Jamaica later named her a national hero queen. Nanny remains one of the greatest military strategists in history. She proved that intelligence can defeat larger armies. She showed that freedom requires sacrifice. She demonstrated that bravery has no limit when it comes from the heart. So children, leaders, dreamers, and listeners, remember her name, remember her courage, remember what unity can accomplish. This is the story of Queen Nanny, the woman who challenged an empire, the guardian chosen by the mountains, the African hero whose spirit still walks through the forests of Jamaica. As our story closes, let us look back at something very important. Queen Nanny was not the only powerful woman in African history. Long before anyone wrote books about kings and empires, African women already walked with courage, wisdom, and authority. In ancient Africa, women were chiefs, generals, advisors, healers, and queens. They protected villages, they led armies, they guided councils, they trained young people, they made decisions that shaped the future of entire nations. Some of the greatest leaders in history were African women. There was Queen Amanirinas of Nubia, who fought the Roman Empire. There was Queen Amina of Zazao, who expanded her kingdom. There was Queen Makeda of Sheba, who ruled with intelligence. There was Ya Asantewa, who defended her people with unshakable bravery. and many more. So why does the world now act as if women only belong in the background? Why do some people believe that leadership belongs only to men? Why does it feel like patriarchy is normal? Here is the truth explained in a gentle way for young ears. Patriarchy means a system where men hold most of the power and women are pushed aside. Many children grow up seeing this and think it is natural. But history tells us a different story. Africa was never built on disrespect for women. Powerful women were celebrated. They were trusted. They were honored. Patriarchy did not grow from African soil. It arrived from the outside. When foreigners came, they brought new ways of thinking. Some of these ideas placed men above women and pushed African traditions aside. Over many years, these ideas spread and people started to forget the old ways where women and men worked together, shared leadership, and protected each other. But Queen Nanny's story reminds us of something important. African strength comes from balance. African communities grow when every voice is valued. African history shines brightest when women walk beside men, not behind them. So children, whenever you hear stories that say women cannot lead, remember Nanny, remember Amina, remember Amani Reynas, remember every daughter of Africa who stood tall. Our heroes did not wait for permission. They rose, they led, they protected, they inspired, and now the world remembers them again. What do you think about Queen Nanny? Did her story inspire you? Don't forget to like, share, leave a comment, and subscribe for more interesting true stories of African legends. See you later.